January 1991. 8 SAS soldiers were given a mission so dangerous, most men would refuse it. Their mission: insert deep into Iraq, find Scud missile launchers, and never be seen. Bravo 20. 8 men. Behind enemy lines. No backup. No escape plan. The desert was freezing. Their maps were from 1944. Their radios had the wrong frequencies. The desert was freezing. Their maps were from 1944. Their radios had the wrong frequencies. They had no cold weather gear. No proper extraction plan. But the mission was ordered, so they went. Within hours, everything went wrong. An Iraqi child spotted them. The enemy was alerted. Bravo 20 ran for their lives. 8 men against an entire Iraqi army. They had bullets. They had training. But the desert cold was already killing them faster than the enemy. In the chaos of night, the patrol split. Ryan found himself with only 2 men and a blizzard closing in. Temperatures dropped below freezing. No shelter. No food. The desert was trying to kill them before the Iraqis could. Sergeant Vince Phillips collapsed. Hypothermia had taken him. The first man was gone. Ryan couldn't stop. Stopping meant death. He marked the location in his mind and kept moving. 2 men left. Every road had enemy patrols. Every shadow could mean capture or death. Stan spotted a vehicle. A chance to escape. He went for it, against all instincts. Iraqi soldiers took Stan. Just like that, Ryan was completely alone. No team. No radio. No extraction. Just 1 man, 1 compass, and 300 kilometers of enemy territory. His only guide was a World War II map from 1944 and stars in the sky above him. No GPS. No modern tools. He used the moon and stars, just like soldiers did a century before him. 1,600 Iraqi soldiers were now hunting him. The entire local population had been told to watch for escaped coalition soldiers. He hid in tunnels and culverts during the day, moving only at night, 40 kilometers every single night. He followed the Euphrates River, passing villages, barking dogs, and armed patrols, invisible in the darkness. Day 3. No food. His body was beginning to consume itself, but his mind refused to quit. Every daylight hour was spent completely still. 1 wrong movement, 1 sound, would end everything. On day 4, he found water, but it was contaminated from a nearby nuclear facility. He drank it anyway. The contaminated water burned his mouth and throat. But stopping was not an option. Forward was the only direction. 5 days in. No food. No clean water. His body had lost over 15 pounds already. His toenails were falling off. His feet were blistered open. Every step was agony. And he had 200 kilometers left. On the 6th night, hallucinations began. He saw his young daughter, so real he reached out to touch her. She spoke to him, laughed with him, then vanished, leaving only silence and 200 kilometers of cold desert. Every soldier has a breaking point. Ryan found his and walked straight through it. He passed through villages at night, meters from enemy soldiers, breathing controlled, every instinct sharpened to a razor edge. 1 meter. That was the gap between freedom and capture, more than once. The enemy was everywhere, but his SAS training had made invisibility second nature. During the day, he became part of the desert itself, invisible, breathless, waiting for darkness to move again. Each night, he calculated his route using a compass and the stars, no mistakes allowed. 1 wrong turn meant walking deeper into Iraq. 7 days without food. He tried everything the desert offered, but survival required more than the desert could give. Sleep was the enemy now. Stopping meant freezing. Moving meant surviving. His body screamed. His mind commanded. The Euphrates became his guide and his companion, the only constant in a world trying to destroy him. He never looked back for long. Every second looking backward was a second not spent surviving. Temperatures dropped to near 0 every night. Without cold weather gear, his body was slowly shutting down. He fell, more than once, but every single time, he got back up. Iraqi helicopters scanned the desert with searchlights. He had no anti-aircraft weapon, only patience and shadow. When walking was too dangerous, he crawled. For hours, through rock and sand and freezing cold. Frostbite had reached his fingers and toes. His body was failing, but his mission was not yet over. On the 7th night, lights. A town. The border was close. He could feel it. He pushed every last reserve of energy toward those lights. Every step faster than the last. The border town of Kerbela. Iraqi soldiers everywhere. He had to pass through it, or die trying. He moved through the town like a ghost. One wrong sound, one barking dog, and 300 kilometers of survival meant nothing. 3 seconds in the open. The longest 3 seconds of his life. Syria. He could see it. After 8 days, the finish line was visible for the first time. The last kilometers. No energy left. Running on willpower alone. The most dangerous fuel a soldier can use. His legs gave way twice in the final kilometer. Twice he hit the ground. Twice he stood back up. He crossed the Syrian border alone, the only man from Bravo 20 to escape Iraq. He sat down for the first time in 8 days, not to rest, but because his legs simply stopped. 300 kilometers. 8 days. 7 nights. No food. No water. He had done the impossible. Syrian border guards found him, barely recognizable as a soldier. 40 pounds lighter than when he started. He had cold injuries, no toenails, infected blisters, bed sores, and a damaged liver. But he was alive. The first clean water in days. The first safety in 8 days. His body finally allowed itself to collapse. British diplomats arrived and took him into care. The longest escape and evasion in SAS history was officially over. In his debriefing, Ryan recalled every detail, every patrol, every close call, every kilometer, with perfect SAS precision. He thought about Vince, about Stan, about the 4 teammates captured. He was the only one who made it out free. Chris Ryan was awarded the Military Medal, the highest recognition for his extraordinary courage under impossible conditions. After recovery, Ryan became an SAS training instructor, teaching the next generation what real survival looks like. In 1995, he wrote The One That Got Away, one of the greatest survival stories ever committed to paper. What made Chris Ryan survive when trained soldiers beside him didn't? The answer is more human than tactical. His survival came from one course, the German Alpine Guides course, a year of extreme mountain and winter training that saved his life in the Iraqi desert. SAS selection is designed to break men. Ryan passed, which meant he had already practiced failing and getting back up. His greatest weapon was not his rifle. It was the ability to think clearly when every system in his body was screaming to stop. 4 men captured, 3 men dead, 1 man free. The difference was measured in decisions made in seconds. The desert that tried to kill him is unchanged today, vast, indifferent, brutal. But Chris Ryan's footprints changed military history. 30 years later, Ryan said the hardest moment wasn't the hunger, the cold, or the enemy. It was the silence of being completely alone. Competence under pressure. The SAS teaches it for years, and in 8 days in Iraq, Ryan used every single lesson. Today, the story of Bravo 20 and Chris Ryan's escape is taught to every SAS candidate as the gold standard of survival. 300 kilometers alone. No food, no water, no help. Just a man and a direction, west. He said the desert taught him one thing above all. The human will to survive is stronger than any weapon, any cold, any enemy. He never forgot Vince. Or the others. Survival always comes with the weight of those who didn't make it. His story became required reading, not just for soldiers, but for anyone who needs to understand what human endurance truly means. The soldier who crossed 300 kilometers of Iraqi desert alone never fully left the desert. Some experiences change a man permanently. The SAS produces legends. But even by SAS standards, Chris Ryan's escape stands completely alone. This is the ground he crossed. Every kilometer of it real. Every step of it documented. A record that still stands today. He turned his experience into knowledge, training others so that what happened to Bravo 20 could never happen the same way again. Boots, blisters, river, border, metal. 8 days compressed into a legacy that will last forever. He walks among ordinary people now, quiet, unremarkable, carrying 300 kilometers of Iraqi desert inside him, every single day. Look at that distance. Now imagine crossing it. Alone, in winter, without food. That is the story of Chris Ryan. This is not a story about a perfect mission. It is a story about an imperfect man who refused to be defeated. 8 men went in. 1 came out free. History remembers them all, but one name stands above the rest. In the darkest moments, when hallucinations took hold and his body failed, something deeper held him together. We call it, well, 300 kilometers of footprints, the longest walk in SAS history, made by one man, one step at a time. When he stepped into Syria, he stepped out of one world and into another. Some doors, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed. If you ever think you've hit your limit, remember a man who hadn't eaten in 7 days still walked 40 kilometers that night. Every SAS soldier today knows the name Chris Ryan, not from textbooks, from the moment they think about quitting. The desert has no opinion of you. It does not care if you live or die. That indifference is what makes surviving it so extraordinary. He walked when walking was impossible. He moved when movement meant death. He survived when survival was a statistical impossibility. In the hospital, the mission replayed in his mind on loop. Every decision, every close call, every kilometer he should not have survived. When he learned the full fate of Bravo 20, survival stopped feeling like victory. It felt like responsibility. An entire war raged around him. Armies clashed. History was made. And through it all, one man walked home alone. He made it home. To family. To peace. To a life most people never appreciate, because they've never had to fight for every breath of it.